doing okay today? I hope everyone's doing well. Hi, Craig and Crystal and Gina and Janine and Leslie and everybody. Hi, Judy and James and all the J names. Thanks for coming, you guys. So usually I'll just start with a little thing. If I feel like my guys want me to talk about anything, and this week, or this show, by the way, if you're new, is I just answer spiritual questions you might have. You can make them personal if you want to, and I'll usually make them sort of, I'll make them so they're a little more for everybody, kind of like make it for a macro rather than a micro. But from the beginning of, and if I don't know the answer myself after, years of doing readings and stuff like that, if I don't know, then I will turn it over to my guides and I'll ask them. But I wanted to say that from the very beginning of summer, probably before the beginning of summer, I kept feeling this feeling of like, just get to fall. Just get to fall, get through the summer, get to fall. Which is unusual because usually I really like the summer. I like the warmer weather. I like being outside. I like the sunshine. I've always liked the summer. I like the summer and I like the fall. Spring, because I have a lot of allergies in spring, but it's fine, whatever. But this year I have felt like just get to fall. Get to fall. So, and I also have a feeling that we're in for a kind of a shift. I feel like I've also felt like these extreme sort of energies that I feel kind of every day, but every couple of months, I told you guys, and I think some of you said you had the same thing, where I'll just feel like I just purge all this negative emotion. I'll cry, or I'll be angry, or I'll erupt in anger in some way. Sorry, but that is what's been happening, and I feel like it's just like this build up of energy, and I feel like as we roll into fall, that kind of stuff is going to kind of dissipate, and there'll be sort of and I do feel like some of the really negative catalysts are going to either be gone or sort of be out of the picture or powerless or something, if you know what I'm saying. It just feels like that. So I don't know if you guys are feeling that as well. If not, I'm just letting you know what I'm feeling. Hang on a second, let me drink something. Anyway, so that's what I'm getting. So, all right. So let me see what in the world you guys want to talk about. I'm going to go up to the top. Whoops. Okay. Barbara, I've been told I meet with my partner frequently on the astral plane. I remember 2 meetings. What is the purpose for these meetings, and why rare recall of them? Okay, I'm going to turn that over to my guides because I don't know. So I'm getting that the reasons can vary. It can be anything from comfort, just going to the familiar, being in a space that feels safe and comfortable. It can be for information, to give you information. It can be like a conference, coming together and talking about something that may be going on or something that's coming. A lot of the things about the next lifetime and things like that, those are done after you pass. And once all of your your family, your spirit family, or whatever you want to call them, your spirit group is all together again. these kinds of meetings can be for various reasons. The rare recall is because it's meant to be sort of just a helper, a shifter, something to perk you up. It's not meant to be a distraction. It's never meant to be to distract you from your life. It's there as just a little, like a pick-me-up, right? Yeah, so that's what I'm getting, Barbara. I hope that answers that question. Question. Oh, shadow work. Okay. I don't know what that is, Gina. Let me look back and see. Did you have a question? I don't see a question there. But you can ask again, Gina. That's okay. You can ask more than one question. If I get to it, I get to it. If I don't, I don't. So you can always put it up. What can we do to make the jobs of our angels and guides easier? Yeah, you're so sweet. Like, how can I assist them? Oh my gosh. Okay. Okay, I'm just gonna ask them what we can do. So they're saying that so first of all, they're saying, I'm going to go in the order that they put it in. First of all, they're saying that listening to your higher self, because your higher self knows everything. Your higher self knows your agenda. Your higher self knows your past. They know your past lives. Your higher self knows everything. Angels and guides really are for extra help and kind of like the day-to-day kind of stuff that we go through for bigger like problem solutions and stuff, because sometimes it's almost like we can ignore that, because it seems like it goes like this. I talk to my higher self. If I can't reach that, in comes help, right? So it's almost like trying to get an analogy, but it's like that's your first connection, is your higher self. But sometimes people, for whatever reason, may not hear it, may not connect, may not, it may be too quiet. It may be too, because it is us, right? It's us. So it can feel like I'm not reaching anybody, but it's very, I know our guides can feel like us. I know that too. So I feel like it's just like an extra jolt of information, or trying to get you the information. So I feel like if we took the time to sort of sit in that seat of the soul, in the present, reaching that sort of higher self, that's like our first like place we should go for information. But our guides are there. It also feels like you're not bothering us. That's not a thing. It's like it's totally fine. Their desire is to help. And it's sort of like, if my dad wants to stop being my dad, then it's like it's not, and they're not going to just not help you. It's what they're there to do. Guides guide us. They're there to help us. And even then, it's like they're really wise friends, So if you can always do what you want to do. They're there to advise. And just like you would take advice from a really, really smart, wise friend, you may take their advice most of the time, and sometimes you don't. Sometimes you go a different way. They'll work with us no matter what, right? And they're also saying they love it. Like, it's interesting to them and it's fun. It's an opportunity for growth for them as well. And they learn so much. They're learning all the time with us. It's a joy. It really is a joy for them to help. They're not having the same experience that we are, right? They've got such a big perspective, a big scope of perspective that they just don't. It's fine. It's like don't worry about that. But if you wanted to, for everything though, it's not always needed for you to go to your guides. You have the answers within you. You really do. We have that wisdom too. They're just an extra line of defense or an extra line of information. Yeah, so I hope that answered that, Gina. I'm not sure if it did, but I think the main thing is, oh, and let me put that question up. I think the main thing is that to know is that it isn't like, oh, she's calling us again. It's not like, it never gets like that. They always are so happy to help. It's fun. It's exciting. It's neat. It's enjoyable. It's not a bother or a burden. Okay. Okay. And here's another question like this. So let me ask about being bored with us. No, not at all, because they do other things too. They're not just sitting and waiting for us to wake up and waiting for us to get done with breakfast and stuff. There's a multitaskery with them, doing their kind of their own stuff and their own things. But it's sort of like, like if you're a new mom and you have a baby monitor and you have that baby monitor, you're never really disconnected from the baby ever. You might leave the room, but you're never disconnected. And that's how they are. It's not as if they can't go and do other things and be involved in other things. They're not just sitting and waiting around for us to do something or ask something. They really are, we're part of their tasks. We're not the task. There are some people, so they're saying there are some guides that prefer to work with just one individual or one lifetime, but there are guides that take on several. It depends on how you work, how you want to work, and what your I'd say goals, but I don't think that's the right word, but what you want to, how you want to grow yourself as a spirit. Some spirits really are, okay. So they're saying a lot of us are on guide teams when we're not here. Yeah, a lot of us are on guide teams, and that's the thing too. They just said team. I feel like there's not a rotating, but I feel like there are certain guides for certain things, and I feel like you have like a main guide, but even then I feel like they do other things as well, like again, the mother with the keeping tabs of their baby at all times, but they're never disconnected, but they may not be on top of them every moment of the day. And that's the feeling that I get. I think a lot of these concepts are really hard for us because we're in one place at a time, where, we have these, I guess the closest thing would be dreaming, right? We're in the dream state, and we're off in other places, and our mind is off in other places, but our body is here. Yeah, so I hope that makes sense. But I feel like boredom is really not yeah, see, they're saying that they wouldn't undertake something that was boring. That isn't a thing there. Here, it's like we have to work, we have to do certain things. And they're not always things we want to do. That isn't the case in the spirit realm. In the spirit realm, you only do what you want to do. what you love, what appeals to you. And that's why we find so much fulfillment when we do that here, because that's our true nature, is doing what we love, not being forced into doing stuff we don't really like. So they're saying people that are guides love it, and that a lot of us are on guide teams as well. It's all people that are very, very connected to and invested in the earth in a very personal way. And that's why we've talked before about how guides, so many of them have had many, many lifetimes here, and you've had many lifetimes with them. They're just not here with you in the physical at this time, but they're guiding you and helping you. It's very much like friends. It really, really is. And just wise, very, very wise, knowing friends. And not friends that will get offended, or just think of like friends with unconditional love for you. There isn't anything you can do for them to be like, well, we're out of here. They have such a wider scope. Our scope is so small, so limited, which is meant to be, right? We're meant to be very focused in on this lifetime and right here and right now. But they have such a wide scope, and so they can see so much more, and they can also see like where things are going, what's going to be happening. So if we're like, oh, why this, why that, they can be like, oh, don't worry, by December she'll be fine, or whatever. And they have a bigger perspective. They know, and we know somewhere, right? We need to connect. That's why they said, at the beginning of this year, how important it was just to find a couple minutes a day. I think the beginning of the day, the end of the day, find just a couple of minutes just to sit and just connect. And how do you do that? You just take a couple of deep breaths and be present. And you'll start to feel your personality sort of fade and a deeper part of yourself come forward. It's your higher self. And they're very meshed. When we're in the waking state, they're very meshed. That still comes forward all the time. It still comes forward to connect us to guides. It still comes forward to make, wise decisions, or to have a wise thought, or a inspiration, or whatever. But no, they don't get bored of us. They don't get bored of us. They wouldn't do it if they didn't want to do it. And again, they're talking about too how they have this investment in the earth plane. They're very invested. They love it, and they've been here a bunch of times, and they want to see things, go the way we want them to go, and that kind of thing. So they're very invested in the story here. Okay. And it is like they're just showing me like a movie set where there's like a trilogy maybe, and they're in front of the camera, and then in the other movies they're behind the camera or play a different role. But it's that they're invested in the story. They're invested in the creation of this. And so that's what they're doing. They're just playing a different role in the same story, basically. Okay. How significant was the black moon on August 23rd? So I feel like it kind of feels like the full moon. It feels like some people may have been really affected by it, and others not as much. I feel like it has to do too with like how planets are placed and how you react to those as well. It's like it's all working together. So when this appears or this happens, it's kind of like some people are more affected than others. And I feel like the effect might be seeing, because I feel like they're saying like decision making and making decisions. And so I feel like there may have been a lot of like realizations or aha moments or inspiration ideas. things that maybe came through for certain people during the black moon. Ways forward as well. So there may have been people that were stuck and now they're unstuck. They found a way out, or they found a solution, or they found, so it's that kind of thing. I almost want to say like new moon, because I'm hearing that well, it's a song you probably won't know, but it's New Moon on Monday by the by the Duran Duran. And so I feel like it may have a correlation or a similarity to what they call the new moon. I don't know much about moons, or, you know, me with astrology and stuff, so I don't know, but there's something about that. So yeah, I hope that makes sense. I hope that's enough information. It's almost like turning the page or moving forward. That's kind of what it feels like. Judy. Hi, Kim. Have you had any more insights on what the September spirit message was indicating for September? What? I don't know what you're asking, Judy. What the September spirit message was indicating for September. Can you be more specific? I'm not sure what you're asking. I'm not sure what you're asking. I'm sorry. Okay, yeah, I'm not sure what you're asking, Judy. I'm sorry. If you can be more specific, then I'll be able to answer. Okay. Okay. Oh, maybe I should put on my glasses. That might help. That might help a lot. Okay. Alrighty. Okay, Lynn. Okay, thank you, Janine. That's so nice of you. Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Janine. Appreciate that. Linda Lopez. Sounds produce different frequencies and vibrations. Does this mean, I can't tell, it was, oh God, I need more new glasses, you guys. Does this mean our names carry certain vibrations that can affect us in our spiritual journey? So they're saying our not only our names, but our birth date, our death date, all have very special meanings. And this is Xing out like exit points, you know, that not talking about that, but like, you know, we all come in with a for sure death date, a for sure birth date, and a name. But they're saying too that it's more so, oh, interesting. Okay, it's more so our first name. And it does reflect our own, like, I've seen this before where they've talked about the fact that in the spirit realm, we don't really have names like we do here. It's more of an energy imprint or an energy print, right? And this, your name in this lifetime represents sort of a mixture of your spirit frequency, but also the life you're going to be living here at this time. So it sort of is emblematic of it, or it's a mixture, I guess. It's a mixture of your spirit makeup, your spirit print, or whatever you want to call it, your spirit frequency, and the I guess the vibration or the frequency of sort of this lifetime, this person, right? It's a mixture, but it's your first name. It's not necessarily the last name. I suppose it can be, but they're making a real kind of they're differentiating that this is about the first name. The last names, like, I guess that's, we switch them, and so if we change them, if we get married, we get divorced, or whatever. But the first name is, they're saying it's the name we chose to sort of be representative of our spirit self, connected with this identity that we are here. It's a combination. And they're saying that we don't have names like we do here in the spirit realm, but we can't, but our frequency or our energy imprint can be sort of summed up in a name if it has to be. So if you did the those like a meditation to find out your spirit name, you'd be given a name that represents your spirit frequency. It's like taking that and putting it through a computer, and out comes a name that represents it. That's what it's like. But we don't recognize each other by our names. On the other side, we recognize each other by our energy imprint, and each one is unique. There isn't one that's the same. They're all different. And they're saying too that that frequency also determines who your family is, who you're around a lot, because you're at similar frequencies, still not perfectly, like it's almost like the frequencies can get close, but oh gosh, I wish I knew more about science, but I don't. The energy that we are is unique unto itself. And so no frequency is a perfect match, but they can get very close. And the closer in frequency you are to people, or closer in vibration that you are, determines who your spirit family is, and who's around you all the time, and who you connect with, and who you're, yeah. So, okay, does that make sense? Yes, it does happen. I'm sort of a crier, and so even if I get mad, I cry. It's just like, it's partly of how I'm wound, because I come from a religion that wasn't too crazy about expressing negative emotions like that, like anger, mad. So a lot of times it will be tears. Maybe that's how you can imagine it. But I definitely have gotten angry at the TV, at things, So I'm sure you can imagine. Okay. Oh, neat. Craig. So Craig had a visitation from his brother. That's great. Or a visit from his brother. Question. Okay, Kavita. How does the evolution of humans correlate with last civilizations such as Atlantis? Did humans evolve more than once? Okay, again, something I know nothing about, but that's okay. I'll just hand it over and do the best I can. So right away, I'm getting the feeling like we have done this many times, and it's okay. It's like there isn't a time limit. It's like, it's fine. It may sound like, oh, we have to get it right this time. I feel like every single time things are done differently. Things are introduced at different times. The concepts, ideas, inventions, things like that are brought in at different times. And although we've had societies that were very advanced in a lot of ways, there are some, and I feel like Atlantis might be one of them, where things were introduced almost like it was too quick. And so there was a lot of say arrogance. I don't know what other word to use, but ego, I guess. There needed to be like more humility around things, that they could do things that they were able to do. Is that there needed to be more of that, and that this time around we're hoping to sort of what Eckhart Tolle talks about, which you can drink because it's Sunday and you're having your mimosa. I know you are. But this idea of transcending the ego, I feel like that's always been the goal, is to kind of transcend that. But at other times, it's always been the defeater, the thing that defeated us in some way. And I feel like there is something about this time that's like, we feel like we've got it, like it's almost like the perfect balance. We figured out sort of the balance of things. And it's felt like that, hasn't it? Where the last 20 years have felt like just the technology has just been like, it's been coming. And I feel like there's a point it's going to kind of slow a bit. And I also feel like, I just want to tell you guys this, and I feel like it has something to do with this, but that right now there's something weird happening with like luxury brands and things like that, where people are just, weird things are happening where like, and I don't follow these influencers, but I watch a lot of stuff about, overconsumption and things like that. As I've been like cleaning my stuff out, I've just been kind of watching things like that, about cleaning up spaces and stuff, just stupid stuff like that. And one of the things I keep coming across is that all of these influencers that were really into like, brand name purses or showing off brand name clothes or are quitting and being like, one woman, for example, was like, I'm selling all of my designer purses and I'm going to devote all my time to my animals. Just weird stuff like that, just like out of the blue, just coming on one day and saying, I'm selling all my stuff and getting rid of it, and I'm going to be focusing on this. So something, and then at the same time, we're getting all these weird TikToks from, I'm not on TikTok, but I heard we're getting all these weird TikToks from China saying, allegedly, all these designer brands are in this one factory and it costs like $5 if you want to come to China, but you guys are paying $500, stuff like that, where people are feeling like, what is going on? So I feel like stuff's coming out, but the thing that's related to this that I wanted to tell you was I've been feeling like as our need to buy stuff starts to taper off, or as we realize we stuff doesn't bring you happiness, right? And I think a lot of people are learning that right now for some reason. I feel like there's a lot of that, although I feel like we've been learning it since probably the 80s or longer, probably 50s, but and we're so programmed to consume that it's going to take a while to undo this. But I feel as more and more people wake up and realize, okay, that's not really what we want to do. That's probably not the way to go. And maybe we should back up from that. as people wake up, we're at the same time going to get an influx of inventions, discoveries that help us to clean up the earth. It's almost like we have to prove ourselves first, and then we're going to get the information to help us with global warming and with climate change and stuff, that we're going to get discoveries and inventions coming in. And I feel like it's this is what they're talking about. It's like they feel like they have got the timing right this time, that we'll get things at the right time. We won't be overloaded, and maybe some people will get arrogant, or some people will blow themselves into orbit or whatever, or into the ocean floor or whatever. But most people are at a certain place, and so I hope that answers that question. But but it seems like, yes, there have been a lot of times before, but there's something about this time that feels like we got it. We got it. It may not feel like that right now. I mean, we won't live to see all of it happen, but it does feel like we've got the right idea this time. It's like the right balance, and things coming in at the right time, and people awakening at the right time, and things like that. Like, still working through all the stuff we had to work through, but doing it in a way that is complementary to keep going, and to finally get to the stage we want to get to, which is sort of that idea, that fifth dimensional space where we're all sort of waking up and becoming enlightened within the rules that we set up, right? Okay. Okay, Kelly, I've heard the phrase jumping timelines. Do you have a sense of timelines changing, and is it useful on an individual basis? So I did do a video about time, and you might look at that, because it kind of talks about changing, like, or no, it was about changing realities and stuff, but it mentions time and stuff in there. Or actually, maybe there was two different, I can't remember. Maybe there's two different videos. I can't remember if it's all in one or if it's two. I think there's two. I think there's one on time, one on reality, shifting realities. Okay. So let me ask about timelines. Timelines. So they were talking about, this is going to go into this thing I find very confusing, but I experienced it, so I understand what they mean. But it is hard to explain. But in the spirit realm, there isn't a linear timeline like there is here. Everything is sort of accessible, right? Everything's accessible. All time is accessible. It's set up that way here so we can keep track of time, because everything is finite. Everything is, we have, endings here. We have beginnings and endings here, beginnings and endings, beginnings and endings. And we don't have that there. It's just, it is as it is. It's infinite. It doesn't have an ending, right? It just goes on always. There's always growth and expansion and that kind of thing, but there's not endings like there are here. There's no death, again, but they're saying that when we talk about shifting timelines, what we're really talking about is an awareness of other, other, almost like energetic, they're showing us like energetic streams, and so that we're always sort of shifting. It's like we're weaving in and out of different timelines, or like frequency streams that are just kind of running through. And so, for example, if you made a decision to, I'm going to go to the store today. So I'm going to go, so that I'm going on this energy stream, but there's also an energy possibility of you not going to the store and what would have happened. And so it's almost like we're with every, and it does feel like with every decision, it's kind of like we're choosing our timeline, or we're choosing the frequency we're going to move in. And I feel like that also explains what it feels like to be a reader. For me, anyways, it always feels like when somebody asks a question, right? From that question, it's like I'm following a possibility, or I'm following what they're, like the streamline of what they're asking. And if they asked another question, I could go this way, right? It's like everything has that. Everything has that potential or possibility sort of attached to it. And so if you said, I think I'm going to go to the store today, and then you're like, no, I'll change my mind. Maybe I won't go today. Maybe I'll go tomorrow, right? You can see you've just switched timelines with that. It was just, but it doesn't, it's not like you're living it all out. It's just like the probability is there, the possibility is there, the potential is there. And we switch with every decision. We switch with every time we change our mind. Yeah. So and that's why free will is so important. This is what they're saying. Free will is so important because of this, because we're always choosing. And so instead of maybe saying a timeline, maybe say a potential frequency. Right? It's there, whether you take it or not. It's there. And then when you move into it, it's like you're on that frequency, you're in that timeline. So I hope that makes sense to you, Kelly. I know that is and once again, I think this is why NDE people have such a hard time explaining things when they relay their stories, because it is almost like there really isn't equivalence of this here. I think the best chance we have of understanding it is through the arts, through like movies and books and things where they have, like the multiverse or the Matrix or things like that. I think it's kind of trying to teach us how to think of these weird concepts that just don't exist here. But it's who we are on the other. We don't even think about it on the other side. It's not a thing. But here it's like, well, what does this mean? And what does that mean? And we're trying to figure everything out here. So it's so confusing. And at the same time, the point of being here is to be focused in on this lifetime, these choices right here, right now, always. That's always the hope. Because that's also when you're in the present moment, you're connected. You're at your peak power. So the likelihood of you making the right decision, the likelihood of you doing the right thing, saying the right thing, or the best possible thing, it will happen in the present moment because you're connected. You're connected to your higher self. You're connected to your guides, connected to everything. That's your peak power. Yeah, Rhonda, and I did a video recently where I said, like, I felt like I knew what was wrong with them, and something like that would shift everything. Because I talked about that like waking thing I had at the end of that Beatles song with A Day in the Life, and I could see that, or the passing of a couple of people, at the same time or around the same time. That could be, because that certainly would shift the energy and change things very quickly. I also felt like, if I can just say real quick, I also felt like the strongest energy this year, we talked about at the beginning of in my 2025 predictions. It seemed to me the strongest energy this year was going to be revelation. things, everything coming out. We're going to know it all. It is time because we need to heal from it and we need to move on. And it's not just the United States, it's kind of all over the world. So we see things percolating and exploding and things that have been hidden for decades, old mysteries. Everything was going to be revealed, right? It's just a time of revealing. Everything's going to be revealed. Truth is coming out. And it felt like this person is one of the catalysts for that. And as soon as this person and other people start getting in the way of that, because that's the strongest energy this year, they'll be moved out of the way so that it can keep coming out. And I feel like, and I've always felt that once this person is gone, it is going to be like the floodgates have opened. Everything is coming out. And I feel as this is like percolating, like we're feeling like, okay, this is coming out, this is coming out. They're stopping this from coming out. They're stopping this from coming out. I'm just thinking you don't want to do that during this time. It's not going to be good because it is coming out one way or another. And if you're in the way, you'll be moved out of the way. Whether that means fired, shipped away, whatever. You're going to be moved out of the way by the universe because it's the time for this to happen. So that's the way I've been feeling. And I thought if he starts getting in the way of things coming out, rather than being the catalyst for things coming out, because through his actions, he's showing us how corrupt everything is. He's showing us who the Republicans really are. He's showing us, these different things. He's showing us these things. So in that, it's almost like he's in the flow of what is happening right now, right? Just through his behavior and the way he is, and it's so clear what's going on. But when he starts putting on the brakes or standing in the way of like, okay, this is ready to come out, but he's standing in the way, he's going to be pushed out of the way. And that's also kind of what I feel like about this time. It's just weird. Okay, so Linda gets the same thing. I get the same thing. Summer and October, yeah, are a time of ending of the current status. Yeah, keep your vibration high. I agree. Yeah. Okay, next question. Why is it that people who have NDEs often have meetings with God or the one source, but rarely mention meeting Heavenly Mother or a divine feminine energy? So they're saying that because they come back, right? They're not going over there forever. They're just coming into, and these things are pre-planned, right? Or they're put in place. If you're not doing this by this time, this is going to happen, right? It's either a planned event. This is what happens in my life, and this is how it goes, and then I come back and do this work. Or it's, if I'm not in this certain place because I want to get this thing done, this is going to happen. So it's either put in as a change agent, or because it's part of their life plan. Okay, so it's one of those two. But they're saying because they're not staying, that their experience is heavily created partly by what they expect. And so just like it can happen. It doesn't mean that it doesn't happen, but somebody who was, in a Christian religion or grew up with Jesus would be much more likely to meet Jesus in that experience than meet Buddha, right? It doesn't mean it can't happen, right? It doesn't mean it can't, but it's still, it's like they're because they're not staying, because they're going back as this person, that this personality has an influence over the way they see things. And if they grew up thinking that God is a masculine figure, that's how they'll interpret it, because they still kind of are the personality. They haven't fully shed the personality completely. Even when they think they have, it's like, no, they haven't really, because they're going back, right? They're going back. So they have to be kind of aware of that on some level, that I'm still this person, I'm still this personality on earth. And you'll hear about people, it's almost like they come away from the body, they're completely divorced from the body, but at some point during the NDE, their life comes back up to them. Either they'll show them their kids, or they'll say, you have work to do. And it will dawn on them that, oh, I'm still this person, or I'm still in the middle of this life kind of thing. So, but they're just saying that the personality, when we go home, the personality is completely, the earthly personality, or the earthly us, is like completely shed in a way, because we go back to what we really are. And it just is like, oh, like I wore that costume and I was that character. It still makes an impression on us, and it still helps us to learn things, and helps us to grow, and helps us to expand, and helps us to help other people and other spirits expand. And there's a whole thing around it. So it's very honored. It's not as if you just discard it like garbage. It's very important and very useful. And so I feel like it's not completely, that thing is not completely shed until, or that personality or the person isn't completely shed until we go home. So it still is influencing, even though they feel like, oh, I'm done with that. Now I'm here and I want to stay here. I don't want to go back, that kind of thing. It's still having an effect, and it's still having a influence over their experience. So I hope that explains that. Okay. Is it possible to develop the ability to see energy, auras, and such? Yeah. So they're saying that it's going to be a mixture of your eyes relaxing and being in a very relaxed state, and your third eye coming in. So it's kind of both. It's like your vision and your third eye are kind of mixed. So it may feel like I'm seeing this with my eyes, but they're saying it's your third eye and your actual like sight, and maybe your like brain waves or whatever, to kind of everything relaxing, and then also your third eye opening. And so anything that works on opening your third eye would probably be a good idea. Anything that has to do with getting in that very relaxed state would be good. And then doing the two together, like kind of melding the two together. Because they're saying it can feel like I'm seeing this with just my eyes, but it's a combination. It's a combination. It's your imagination mixed with, or what we would think of as our imagination, that, third eye kind of clairvoyance. It's that mixed with our eyes relaxing so that we can get in that relaxed state. when I talked about seeing like my dad in my bedroom, I was so relaxed because I kind of barely awake. I kept opening my eyes and I kind of rest and I'd be opening my eyes and I'd see this person walking around. And that, when Adam jumped up and turned on the lights, if you don't know that story, I did a video about it. That's like the first spirit I saw or whatever. And it was like I lost focus. And that's the focus you want to be in. Really, really relaxed, and sort of there is a type of focus your eyes get in when you're in that relaxation state that just picks up more. And so it's a mixture of that and letting your sort of your imagination coming in and fill in the gaps, because that is what I feel like they're saying is the color part. That brings in the color part. If you're just seeing it with your eyes, it may always sort of be like white or just like another, like a gray or something, like a layer around people, sort of like they're lit up, like there's a glow on people or trees or things like that. So, but when you bring in the third eye, that's going to start bringing in the colors. Okay. So it's a combination. So working on that really, really relaxed state, and then working on your clairvoyance, Daniel, that will be the ticket. Okay, let me do one more because it looks like we're almost out of time. Okay. Barb, what is the goal of accessing the Akashic records? Oh, and I'll look for that other question to see if she was able to explain it so that I could understand it. I'm sorry, I didn't understand. What is the goal of accessing the Akashic records? What is the major thing we need to learn? So they're saying, I hope I don't make a controversy out of this in the spiritual community, but they're saying that like there's two. There's like a hall of records, and then there's the Akashic records. And I feel like I may get this wrong because I don't do either one. I don't go to either of these places, and I know lots of people do. It feels to me like the hall of records has everything about, like everything, other universes, other planets. Every time we tried to do like Atlantis and stuff like that, that's where that stuff is. And that to me feels like everything you want to know about that. The Akashic records feel like soul records, lifetime records. So if you wanted to know about a past lifetime, you go to the Akashic records. The Hall of Records is different. It's, at least that's what I'm picking up that it's called. It may be something, again, names are just names, right? But there are two different places. And I feel like one is like everything you want to know about everything from the very, very beginning, and all the planets and all the different places and all of it. I even feel like that's where people go to decide where they want to go to learn. The Akashic records are about Earth and about past lifetimes. And it's about people that it's about people who are, it can include, like, if you had a lifetime on another planet, it can include that in your records. But these are like individuals and their spirit journey, their whole spirit journey. I don't know, you guys can let me know if that correlates from things that you've heard, but that's what I'm getting, is that these are two different places. And we sometimes call the Akashic records, the hollow records, they're like, no, these are two separate places. And one is everything from the beginning of very, very beginning. And then the other one is more about individuals and their lifetimes and their spirit journey and that kind of thing. James, Oakley's considered a class on seeing auras. Okay. I will once I feel like I've got good methods to things, or I think I figured it out. I will. Right now, I'm working on a class. It's a recorded class, but it's for life purpose. But if I get stuff figured, I feel like I figured it out enough to teach other people, I will. Oh. We're into the August spirit message from the club. I typed in September. Okay. Okay, I'm not sure, Judy. I'm going to have to go back and look at that, and maybe I can get you an answer for that, okay? A lot of times when I do stuff like that, I don't remember. I don't remember stuff that I say because I'm in the zone and I have to look at it. But I will get back to you and I will tell you because I'll have to, look at the energy for September too, because I feel like, and if you are interested in joining the club, just hit the join button. You can. Yeah, so I'll look at that. And I'll give you an answer. I'll give you an answer on that. Okay, Judy. All right, everybody. Well, thank you for hanging out with me. Next week, I'm going to be gone because I'm going to be with my cousin. We're going to be hanging out in Napa. But I'm going to put up another video that actually I did with the club a couple of years ago, but it's I think it'll be a good one, a really interesting one to put up. So I'll put that up for next week. And I still have, I think one, maybe two spots in the last orb class, which is starts next month. One that starts tomorrow, I've got no room, but the one that's starting in a few weeks, that one I have a couple of spots. So if you want to do that, and then I do have some reading spots available as well for next year. I think I may do readings into June of next year. I've only got them up to February right now because I'm still kind of figuring it out. I think I may be doing more teaching and more stuff with the club next year. So I'll keep you updated on that, but there are a few appointments, okay? All right, thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of your Sunday and a great week. Don't let the jerks get you down. Just be happy. Do things that make you happy. All right, take care, everyone. Bye.